Hello and welcome to Behind the Lines. I'm Diane Dayton. Today we're going to talk about a fabulous film called Victory Remembered, Legacy of the Black Devils. And with us right now, we have the filmmaker, also storyteller. We have Les Owen. Thanks for being here, Les.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
How did this film come about?
Well, I was video producer with the United States Army Band in Washington, D.C. at the time. And again, through Facebook, which comes into play in everybody's life, it seems, these days, I had reconnected with an old high school buddy of mine. His name is Mark Earnhardt. And he let me know that he was coming to Washington, D.C. As a bagpipe player, which I didn't know anything about. And he was explaining to me that he had taken up bagpipes, was living in Helena, Montana, and a group of veterans that he was associated with through this bagpipe thing was coming to Washington, D.C. And I figured they were coming for a tour, or there was some event or whatever. It was a good chance for us to get together. When we did get together, I discovered that he was part of a reunion of the 1st Special Service Force. And they had come to Washington, D.C. to lobby for the Congressional Gold Medal, was part of their reason for being there. I didn't know anything about these guys. I had, by then, 25 years in the Army, and had given a lot of attention to the different historical groups that came across my path. But I had never heard of the Black Devils. Maybe I had heard the name somewhere, because it's a name you think it's there.
Right.
But the 1st Special Service Force I didn't know anything about. So while I happened to have my camera with me, because it's what I do, and I was going to make a video for Mark for his visit, but while I was at the hotel, I started looking around at these old veterans, happy to see one another, and some of the family members were talking, and Mark was explaining to me some of the things that they had done, and said, these are the guys that liberated Rome and fought at Anzio. And I don't know anything about them. So I was, felt compelled to start finding out and interviewing some of these guys. I grabbed that opportunity and meeting some of the organizers and talking to them about the unit's history and their goals. And I became immediately enthralled with the whole story and realized, shame on me for not knowing anything about these guys. And that's where it began, and planted the seed for really an emotional connection to want to share their story.
Well, you wrote it, you directed, you produced. This is such a powerful piece, and you wove together so many different elements. There's some great archival footage along with the travel footage, the interviews. How did this change as you went along? I'm sure it took on a life of its own, too.
It actually did take on some important changes. The organizers of the 1st Special Service Force Association are sons of these vets. They're related to these guys. And there's a strong commitment to sort of protecting them. They know that they went through a lot, and there were a lot of stories. And of course, I'm an outsider, and I'm really trying to intrude on their history and their relationships. So initially, of course, they were very inviting and happy to have somebody be interested. But it took a moment for them to start confiding in me certain things that were going on. So whereas initially I was thinking, okay, let me take a half step back here. I had been corresponding with these people when it came up that they were going to travel to Europe to celebrate and recognize the 70th anniversary of the liberation of Rome. They had taken previous trips to Europe to sort of stomp their old grounds where they fought. And they kind of floated the idea, Les, why don't you come along with us? By the way, that visit they had to Washington, I made a little video for them.
Okay.
That they actually were using to help promote their lobbying for the Congressional Gold Medal.
Oh, wow.
So they did know who I was. And they said, why don't you come with us to Europe? Which I thought was a fantastic idea, and I thought it absolutely needs to be done. Here it is in my hands. How do I make that happen? But my thoughts were, this will be me traveling with them, getting the veterans' thoughts along the way, what they're thinking about, what they're experiencing. But what changed was, in preparation for that, as I became more familiar with their stories and what's going on in their lives today, that there was a lot more to the story. And it reflected what all veterans are going through, old or young. And then I got this obligation in me to tell that part as well, which I knew was going to be difficult for them. And it would really depend upon what happened in the interviews. So, yeah, the story changed and grew as I made discoveries along the way.
Well, you can see the relationship through the eyes of the camera to the viewer, that what you had when you were shooting this, it really comes through really well. This story is beautifully told, and the music is a major part of this too. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well,
that was phenomenal.
Despite my background as a musician and knowing my limitations, I knew that the story would need really good music. I mean, you can buy things, you can buy a public domain or use public domain, and sort of make a patchwork of the music for this sort of thing. But as a filmmaker and as a professional musician, I really wanted it done right. I knew that there would have to be a sort of a thematic approach to the entire story, that the sound quality needed to be consistent, and that someone would have to be watching the film that was sensitive to the emotion that was there, that was in the story. And I'm so blessed and so lucky that I have a friend that knows how to do that. And Adrian Hernandez agreed to help me when I asked him. And that's one of the greatest good fortunes of my life, that he was available and willing to help me with this, because I think the music carries the story as much as anything else.
I agree with
and
you.
I'm glad you recognize
I
that.
agree with you. I definitely felt that way. From the moment I put in the DVD and it first started, I thought, okay, because it set the stage for the story and it framed everything else. Where did the money come from to do this project? How was this put together?
Well, it's like, yes, I'm going to do this. I'm committed. Where's the money coming from?
Right.
So everybody was and is familiar with Kickstarter and other ways of raising money, crowdsourcing for projects. And I thought, well, I've got to figure this out. And I looked at some Kickstarter videos and talked to some people. And it's set up really in a very helpful way. If you just get started, they'll walk you through the process. My concern was that with Kickstarter, if you have a goal, if you don't raise that goal, you don't make any of the money. So I tried to calculate and budget how much I would need to actually travel to Europe and just to get over there and make the film. So to minimize that and not scare people, because ordinarily it cost a lot more than I needed to spend on this, seeing as how I was doing everything.
Right.
And I ended up raising a lot more than my goal, which not only paid for the trip, but it also allowed me to fly out and do interviews. I went to Texas and Helena, Montana, and Canada for interviews. So it was really through Kickstarter.
Okay, all right. How has this been received?
Well, I mean, the veterans and the family members they love it. They really love it. And one of the vets that I interviewed, Charlie Mann, who's a prominent figure in the story, they've all become friends of mine. I mean, I feel like I'm part of the family, and they've made it very clear to let me know that they think of me that way as well. And it just means the world to me. Well, you can see, I mean, I support their garb and
right.
And so Charlie Mann, I'll paraphrase it, told me that he really loved the film because there's no BS. And that was the best review I could have gotten. And he also said that the great thing that he likes about the movie is that it tells the story, but it's told by the people that were there.
Yeah.
The widows and the vets and the family members who lived with them following the war, who, again, that's an extended part of the story. This is not just about their battles and their glories, but it's about their lives.
Yes.
And how those events shaped them and continue to shape lives. Again, legacy is in the title, so that really is the point.
Yeah. Well, you told their story very well. It was so real and with so much heart. And the details were there and the accuracy of everything and the way it was blended together. Right now we're going to put on the screen, we're going to put the website, and that's where we can get a copy of the DVD.
Great.
But we're also going to be able to view it in our area too. So we're going to take a brief pause, and we come back, we're going to tell you more about that. Stay with us. Welcome back to Behind the Lines. We're talking about the film Victory Remembered, Legacy of the Black Devils. We're with the filmmaker, we're with Les Owen, and now joining us is executive producer Kevin Carvell. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
How did you get involved in this project?
Well, over the years I've gotten involved with various World War II projects, and I'm no expert by any means on World War II, but I do have a fondness for history. And World War II in particular has been something that I guess I've been drawn to, maybe perhaps more than some of the other wars, mostly because of mysteries of history. And in this case, it wasn't as much of a mystery as it was the First Special Service Force was a secret outfit, you know. And so it was a mystery for a long time.
Right.
And in my case, I wasn't. It was an area of World War II that I wasn't all that familiar with, and I thought, what better way to learn about it than to get involved? And when this, you know, fell on my radar,
Right.
I knew I wanted to join up.
Well, this is such a powerful piece. What was the process like?
Well, I brought some money to it. And I helped to bring other people that had some money to it. Beyond that, he did it all. I mean, it's his film. You know, he did all the hard work. he did all the traveling and all the interviews, and it's his vision. So.
I'm excited with that. This is going to be playing here in Ephrata. And this is on Wednesday, July 13th, 7 p.m. It's at Ephrata Main Theater, which is right down here on Main Street. This is a part of what? The Winters Leadership Memorial.
Right.
It's a fundraiser, right?
Yeah, I've been involved with them. That was probably one of the more recent World War II things that I've been involved with, is teaming up with them. You know, I helped to support the memorial, and I've gotten to know those folks very well, and so yeah, I want to join forces with them to present this film and do it as a benefit screening, as I've done with some other films that I've been involved with, and in this case, we're doing it to benefit the Ephrata Post of the Veterans of Foreign Wars.
Right, and it's only $10, and all of that money goes to benefit them. And you both are going to be there.
That's right.
Yes.
Right. So we get to meet and greet as well. And if you want to purchase one of the DVDs, you can do that as well.
Yeah,
correct?
actually, on the night of the event, we worked out a special deal where, since you're paying $10 to get in, you'll actually get $10 off the purchase price of the DVD that night.
That's wonderful.
So
That's excellent. What was it about this film? And like you said, you've been involved in different historical pieces, but this definitely is in a category of its own too. What is it about this piece that's set apart from some of the other projects you've worked on?
Quite honestly, I don't know. Like I said, it was just something new. It was a different area that I wasn't all that familiar with, and
that hits on a really important aspect of the film.
It is different.
Yeah, and I knew, like I mentioned before, I never heard of these guys, and the fact that it was a secret unit is a big reason for that. These guys couldn't talk about it, and didn't talk about it for many, many, many years, and so again, I was sort of motivated to help tell the story, and will continue to do that. I think it's got legs that can carry it to a lot of people, and that really is the goal of all of this, is to teach people about the Black Devils and what they did and how important they are.
And I think one of the pieces that I thought really added another dimension to it was when you traveled to Italy.
Yes.
And then you had the comments from the Italians that were there interspersed with this. It seemed to complete this story
Absolutely.
because it was letting us know too how they felt about this. So there were so many different angles that the story was told from.
And again, there's so much material on the editing room floor. Moments like that just broke my heart that aren't in there. And I'm going to have to find ways of creating smaller presentations of maybe even sections of the film, because the people over there that I was able to sort of be there when they were talking to the veterans and would turn to me and start talking to the camera, seeing that, why I was there. And there are some really very emotional moments. Older people, especially, when they talk about what their lives were like, and and these guys were the ones that came into their village. Pardon me, came into their villages and rescued them, saved them from starvation. In addition to liberating them. So
That's something they've never forgotten.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
What was life-changing moments? And
Right.
that's what it's about. This whole piece is
saving
about
their
that.
families.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. To get these individuals to open up and to really speak from their heart and to be very one-on-one with you, that took a little getting to know them, right?
Absolutely. It was, again, as you mentioned, these guys don't mind saying what's on their mind. They'll be just as direct with you, and shocking at times, because they just are going to say what. And I got a feeling the nature of these sort of men specifically, they've always been like that, not afraid to say what's on their mind.
Right.
But they did have to trust me with some things. And I think a lot of that is in how you engage someone in an interview. Certainly you know all about that. And just letting the camera sit there and helping them tell a story and asking questions and reassuring them.
Yes.
So,
And a lot of these guys spent, years after not wanting to talk about it. I'm not sure at what point they cross that threshold where they
Right.
decide that now is the time. But
Right.
I'm glad that, at some point some of them do decide to share that, because it's important to keep telling those stories and telling new stories. In this case, this is not something that is all that well known. So,
Right.
and keep in mind too, the stories they share are going to be selected. And there are a lot of things that they won't talk about. So that's a backdrop there, that they're carrying all that as well. So I think to have them share the things that they did was really special.
Yeah.
It brought me a lot closer to them.
Was there anything about all of this that really surprised you? Something that you didn't expect, or didn't either changed or went differently, or you got out of it? Was there an element in there that was a surprise to you?
I had surprises along the way. I think that I was surprised at how emotional it was for their children and their grandchildren to
Okay.
revisit those places. I sort of anticipated the veterans having some reaction, and actually theirs was like they would just tell the story without getting emotional most of the time. But I think it's the love and respect that the families carry for these guys, that they finally get a chance to sort of have a better understanding of what they went through. And in some of the interviews that they mentioned that being there allowed them to kind of sometimes forgive their dads for things they didn't understand about them their whole lives. And being there and seeing what they went through helped them come to terms with a lot of that. And I guess I was a little surprised by that, but I was really happy to see it.
It sounds like there was a journey with the whole process, with everybody that was involved as well.
Absolutely. That's the point of the trips, and really the point of the story is the journey.
And they went through different layers that were shed, as it were, and revealed. And
Right.
sometimes it was, like you were saying, a little raw. But what you put together with this, I think, is a wonderful story. Once again, this is going to be on Wednesday, July 13th, right?
That's right.
And it's down at the Effort of Maine Theater. We all know where that is, right downtown. It's a beautiful theater. And it's just $10 to come in. And all this benefits, once again, what?
The Effort of Post of the VFW.
Okay. We're going to put your website up on the screen. What are we going to find there?
Well, that really is, more than anything, it's there to show my appreciation to everyone involved in the process, my Kickstarter supporters, my friends, the First Special Service Force family members, so they have questions and I want them to sort of know more about the process. There are, I've interviewed the composers that helped me, primarily Adrian Hernandez, but another part of the story that you won't get necessarily on the film so much is that the chief arranger for the Army Band, Paul Murtha, who just retired last week as a matter of fact, wrote a march for the First Special Service Force.
Oh, wow.
They never had their own march before. And again, my background, that was one of the first questions that came up. And he agreed to do that. So little things, different things associated with the film and the story are there. So
we can check it all out. And,
yes,
go to
and
the
then people can
website.
order the DVD there as well. I've tried to make that available.
That's excellent. We're going to take a brief pause. When we come back, we've got a final thought. Stay with us. Welcome back to Behind the Lines. Victory Remembered, Legacy of the Black Devils. A final thought, Kevin.
I just want to encourage, whether you come out to the event or you get it on DVD, I would just encourage folks to watch the movie and go on the journey with us. I think Les has done a tremendous job, and I don't think he'll be disappointed.
Okay, Les.
I just want to say thank you. Really is the main point of all of this. I mean, making the film is really an important way of me to saying thank you to not just the veterans but their families, and I want this to be my way of contributing to their story, and it's changed my life.
And I think anybody who will watch this, it will change their life too. I think it's that powerful with what you've put together. The story itself and how it's been told has really a real account to it. It's a human element, and I think it's a wonderful project, and I'm so glad that the two of you were here to tell more about this and the behind the scenes story too. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And we'd like to say thank you for joining us today, too. I'm Diane Dayton with Behind the Lines. And remember, keep looking behind the lines. You might be surprised what you find.